Hello and welcome everyone to Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. This is Nipasa Pradhan and I'm very happy to be here once again. I hope your Wednesday is going great so far and let me tell you, it's going to keep getting better with us. So, yes, before we start off today's episode, friends, I wanted to give out this very important disclaimer that is already displaying on the screen. And it says, by watching our videos, you agree and understand that the information provided by our experts and attorneys, including comments and replies from users, is not legal advice. The use of information is at your own risk. So this is Immigration and Jobs Talk Show, and very happy to welcome you, friends. We are streaming live right now on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter, and wherever you've joined us from. Don't forget to tell us also which state or city you have joined us from, which country maybe even, and we would really love to give you precise answers. If you have questions as well, drop them in the comments. We are going to be joined by our guest. So yes, our guest, a very familiar face. She makes it a point to be able to join us every Wednesday, and she is none other than Attorney Prashanthi Reddy from the law office of Prashanthi Reddy. So please help me welcome her back. How are you doing, Prashanthi?
I'm good, thanks, Nipasa. Good to be back again.
Thank you so much, and congratulations, by the way, for making it to the Forbes best immigration attorneys list. So, congratulations. How do you feel, to making it to Forbes?
Well, I guess my marketing is working.
But yes, 27 years of dedicated service. Tell us about how do you feel today after all these 27 years and receiving this title as well?
Oh, it seems like yesterday. So, how time flies. Um, I'm happy that I've been recognized. But again, I know that there are many other attorneys out there who are better than me and are not recognized. So, you have to always keep that in mind. You might just be recognized because also, I'm not trying to be too humble or anything like that, but it is a fact that there are many other very capable people out there who don't get the recognition that they deserve. So I'm happy that I have received it, and uh, you know,
Well, congratulations to you and the
life
whole
goes
team,
on.
really. Yeah, it's you all for sure. So, Prashanthi, today as well, we are going to dive into another very important topic, and I'm sure folks out there are going to really benefit from today's topic, that is L-1A visa, so the ultimate key to global business expansion. And friends out there, if you are looking to go to the US and maybe start up a new business, or maybe open up a franchisee, anything, this is the correct spot. You are here, and Prashanthi Reddy is going to guide us through it and tell us every detail about what is it and how can you be get onto it in a proper way, be directed properly, what documents you need, what procedures you need to follow, and everything. I hope we can catch up on all that today, Prashanthi, right? What do you say?
Yes, absolutely. We will. We'll talk about everything L1 visa related and also other stuff if people have questions on other topics as well.
For sure. So once again, let me remind you, wherever you're watching us from, don't forget to drop your questions in the comments. And in case you're watching this, after the stream has ended, you can still comment your questions. We have our experts who will be more than happy to get to you with great answers for you. Yes. So, Prashanthi, without further ado, let's dive into the topic then for today. And that is
Sure.
L-1A visas. So, maybe let's start off by introducing it. What is an L-1A visa, first off?
So an L1A visa is an intra-company transferee visa, meaning that you've been transferred from a company abroad to the company in the US to as a multinational executive or manager. So if you're a manager or multinational executive um, in another company abroad, and there is a relationship between the US company and the company abroad. So it has to be a qualifying relationship of a subsidiary, a parent, or an associate or a branch. So if it's one of these qualifying relationships, then and if you're working, if you worked as a manager in that parent or subsidiary foreign organization for a period of 1 year, or as an executive, then you can be transferred to the US as a manager or executive level position to work at an existing company or to work in a new company. And yeah, so that's what an L1A basically is. That's a very basic outline of an L1.
Great, great. So,
So you could also be an owner of the company when you're coming in on an L1. You don't have to be an employee.
mhm,
You can also own the company and petition for yourself as well. So that's another interesting or useful thing about an L1 as opposed to a H1 where you cannot be an
mhm.
owner and file your own H1. For an L1, you can be an entrepreneur, owner, and bring yourself to the US.
Great. Thank you so much. And I'm sure friends out there, as we go deeper into this topic today, we are going to get more clarification on what an L1 visa is and how many more categories are there under it and everything. So, Prashanthi, here comes my first question to you, which will lead us to that. So, could you provide an overview of the L1 new office visa and even outline the minimum qualifications required for applicants?
So, two questions here. I'll take the first one. Could you provide an overview of the L1 new office visa process? So, the L1 new office is an L1 for a new office. Pretty much that's what it is. So, if your office in the US is a startup, which if it's uh, a year or less than a year old, then it'll be considered to be a new office, and the rules are a little less daunting. The requirements are a little less daunting for a new company that you've set up in the
Mhm,
US. So obviously you will not be able to show that you have certain amount of revenue, certain number of
mhm,
employees, that you're supervising a certain number of employees as a manager, which is a requirement otherwise. For a new L1, new office L1, you can submit a business plan saying that you're going to, hire X number of employees, and you're going to then supervise two levels of employees, which is the requirements for an L1 manager, executive level. The person should be supervising two levels of employees as one of the criteria. So you could show that you're going to do that in the future. You can submit a business plan, and business plan can have your financials as well, what your finances might look like the next year and 5 years from now. Because for a startup, you might not be able to show good finances as soon as you start up, right? So, or you might not have even filed your tax return. So it's possible to show then that you have a plan, you've done some market research, so you have to show the market research analysis, and you have potential clients or existing clients, you could show that as well in your business plan, and then you have to justify how you expect to make that revenue that you put in your plan, or how you expect to hire more people in the coming years. So it all has to make sense, and that's what the business plan is for. So for new companies, a business plan is very, very important because you're showing your potential. Um, the L1A new office visa is given only for a year, and after the 1 year is over, then you can file for an extension. So that's the other thing. If it's a new office, then you get the L1 initially for a period of 1 year.
Okay. Wow, that is, I mean, of course, when you start up a new company, you need to show your full potential. And I think that is what an L1 new office visa is. And what about the minimum qualifications required for applicants? Like maybe do they need a bachelor's or a master's degree, or these do not, I mean, are not so important?
No, the education is not really important. I mean, it has to make sense, I guess, if you are working as a
Mhm,
CEO and if you're an employee. I mean, either you would have had previous experience and that's why someone hired you as a CEO, or maybe you have an MBA or something related to
okay.
that. But it's not an absolute must like it is in a
Mhm,
H1, where you have to have a bachelor's degree in a specific field related to your job. It's not
Mm.
like that. It has to, it has to just, the whole picture has to make sense. So you could be an entrepreneur and not have any education at all, and that's fine as well
Wow.
because you've started your own
Right.
business, right? So, yeah, the educational requirements are not as important, but sometimes it makes sense to have
But
them.
you said the business plan is a must, and who will look at this business plan? Who looks like, is it really going to work? Who's going to monitor it?
The USCIS is looking at it before they approve the
Okay.
case.
Okay. Thank you, Prashanthi. All right, let's move on to the next question that
You're
I have
welcome.
now. And that is, the L1 visa permits foreign companies to transfer certain employees to related US companies. So, can you clarify the distinctions between the L1, L1A, and even L1B visas? These are all different. So, just tell us what is the difference?
No, there's no such thing as an L1. The L1 just is
Okay.
a common terminology used for either L1A or
All right.
L1B. So the two types of visas are the L1A and the L1B. The L1A is what we're discussing today, which is the multinational executive
Mhm.
category, where the person is being transferred from the parent or the foreign company to the US company as a multinational executive or manager. And the L1B is for specialized knowledge. So that's not necessarily managerial level position. It's just specialized knowledge. It doesn't have to be unique knowledge, but the person should have specialized knowledge either of the processes of the company or the information about the project maybe, and or the domain knowledge that they might have. And they have to show, you basically have to show that even though it's not proprietary information, it's information that is difficult to be trained in. So the USCIs can ask why you can't hire a local US citizen to do that job. So you have to be able to show why the person that you're hiring on an L1B is uniquely qualified, and because of his specialized knowledge, and it's difficult to train a new person, to do this kind of thing, or it'll take time to train a new person. And this person has already been working in that domain or for your company or with that specific client, etc. So that's basically specialized knowledge L1B. The difference between L1B and L1A is also that L1B does not lead itself to an EB1 category, extraordinary ability, I mean, the multinational executive category, which is EB1. If you're doing an L1B, if you're in an L1B, then you may not necessarily qualify for EB1. Therefore, you would have to file the regular route, a regular EB2 or EB3 labor cert and I-140, etc. So that's another difference between the two. And of course, as I said, the criteria is different for both.
Okay, thank you so much, Prashanthi. And I'm sure folks out there are really having a good time because I can already see so many messages flowing in. So I'll just quickly say hi to all of them. So Simha, I mean, they're watching on your YouTube channel. I mean, you can tell them about your YouTube channel as well, Prashanthi. If they're joining us, just greet them, say hi, maybe.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for watching on my YouTube channel and promoting it.
Yes, it's
Thank you.
all, yes. And hi to Shaukat, Robin, Shivangani, Bhasavaraju, Amarjit. We are going to take up your questions. Neha, Akbar, Messimi, Heli, thank you so much. I think quickly we'll just take one question. Let's take up Simha Raj Gopal's quickly. My H1B petition is approved by employer. My employer is not giving share with me. What can I do on this?
So it looks like the H1B is approved, but Simha says that his H1 approval is not being shared by his
Mhm.
employer. Unfortunately, not much that you can do because the H1B is an employment-based petition. If the employer doesn't want you to work, you can't force the employer to work for you. I mean, for you to work for them. So, of course, I understand why you would need the H1B approval anyway, because It'll help you then show that you're cap exempt. But there might be other ways you can show you're cap exempt. If you have the receipt number, then you could plug it into the USCIS website and get proof that your case has been approved. Then you could use the receipt notice and then that um, approval notification on the USCIS website to argue or with USCIS that you are cap exempt as you were previously counted towards the cap. But you can't obviously come on that H-1B because the employer obviously is not related, not interested in hiring you. So you could definitely file another H-1 by doing what I just said.
Okay, thank you so much. And I hope that was pretty clear for you, Simha. If you have more questions or if you have any further questions, you can drop them in the comments. We'll take them up. We are here for some more time. And oh, there he is. So, okay. Bhasa Varaju is saying, I had twice L1A from two different companies. I am on H1B. Can I apply for EB1? He's asking on LinkedIn.
You could apply for EB1 if you qualify independently for EB1, but you won't be able to apply based on the um, L1 EB1 category, L1A EB1 category, because you're presently not working as a multinational executive, and you're presumably, I don't know if you're working as a multinational or not, but if you worked on L1 one for 1 year within the last 3 years, and if you worked for your parent organization as well, then you could qualify for EB1 if you are a multinational executive. So that's something to look at, and I think more information is needed. Or you can, I guess, speak to your employers as well, or your employers' attorneys to find out if you qualify. But it is possible, uh, given certain circumstances, that you could qualify for EB1, even though you're presently on a H1. You can file for a green card directly. You don't have to be on an L1 to file for an EB1 green card. You can file for that directly as well, as long as you meet the criteria.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much. And that is pretty clear. If you have more questions, you can keep commenting. All right, let's move on back to our questions now. Now, Prashanthi, you know, let's go with the what are the primary steps involved in obtaining an L-1A visa? And if you could really share any personal experiences with this process, particularly, regarding relocating to the US with your family as well. I mean, not, yeah.
Uh, what, yeah. What are the primary steps involved in obtaining an L1A visa? Well, you have to first, the two organizations should qualify, the one that is transferring you from, say your India organization to your US organization, just giving India as an example. They should be in a qualifying relationship, that is a parent, branch, or subsidiary, or an associate of each other. An associate is when they are common owners and they own shares in the same percentage in both companies. So, if there is a qualifying relationship established, and then you should be working at least for 1 year in the last 3 years as a multinational executive at the foreign company. So that's another criteria. And so these are the two main criteria, and you have to show that both businesses, the US business as well as the foreign business, are presently doing business, actively doing business. So that's, I would say, a third criteria. And then, you have to submit a whole lot of documentation and the appropriate forms and the fees to show that you qualify with these three criteria: doing business, um, multinational executive, that you're actually working as one, and just saying that is not sufficient. There's a lot of documentation that has to be submitted, proving that you're actually working as a multinational executive and that you're not saying something and actually doing something else. So that's why documentary evidence of that. And then evidence that the how the businesses are related to each other. So that would be share certificates to show, the relationship and the ownership. So the ownership's documentation would be important for both the companies. So that's, the basic criteria for an
Okay.
L-1A.
Okay. Thank you so much. And any personal experience or any case you have dealt with, that you would like to share maybe with us today, Prashanthi?
I deal with many cases, and there's in general, I would say, I mean, instead of taking an example of one case, in general, I would say that an L1A is not for everyone. You have to remember that when you're doing the L1A, because a lot of clients come to me and say, "Oh, I can make the
Hmm.
documents. I don't have them now, but I can, make the company, change the company so that it qualifies for an L1. You just have to guide me on how to
Hmm.
do it." So when we try to do that, and there are cases that come to mind where, the company insisted on doing that, and then, it was a uphill task to get that L1, those L1s approved. Usually it's an uphill
Hmm.
task because they don't have any documentation, because they're trying to start everything from ground up. But, the immigration comes later. It comes as a consequence of what you're doing, not the other way around. You don't create a business in order to get an L1, right? You already have a business which qualifies, and then you do the L1. So that's what I would advise people, that if you have something that already qualifies for an L1, then do it, but don't try to make it up or make an entire business from ground up, because then it won't
Hmm.
work. Because you can maybe get the documentation and get it approved for 1 year, but after the 1 year, you still have to show that you're profitable. So you have to be an entrepreneur. You have to want to do this business and be successful in it. And this has to be your primary goal, right? Being an entrepreneur and being successful in your business. Immigration comes as a secondary goal. So that's something that I would, because it always works out better if it's that way. So I would definitely advise people to keep that in mind, and start the process only if you think that you actually qualify and that you want to be an entrepreneur, or you're actually working for another business where you're working as an executive, and they're going to transfer you to be an executive here as well, right? So, and the same thing with relocating with the family. I would suggest that you first get the L1 for yourself, come here, work, and maybe if it's a new business, then you're only getting it for a year. So you might be wary of wanting to relocate your family before that 1 year, before you get the extension after the 1 year, because after that, then you get an additional 2 years, and that would be maybe a good time to relocate the family, especially if you have kids in school. Uprooting them when you don't know if the L1 extension will get approved or not is something that you want to think about. So that's advice for relocation to the US. But otherwise, relocation to the US is easy if your L1 gets approved, because your spouse will be on an L2 and your spouse will be able to work on an L2. Automatically will be work authorized. They don't have to file any kind of petition or wait for some approval, which will take several months. No, they are automatically approved to work, and your children can go to school on the L2, so it becomes very easy for your family members. So yeah, it's definitely an advantage to be on an L2, but I would suggest that you wait until the L1 gets extended before bringing your entire family here, because there are a lot of unknowns about whether the business will be successful or not here, whether you'll be able to meet all the criteria that you've put down for yourself in your business plan. So, something to think about before you relocate your family.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Prashanthi. And, we'll take up one quick question from the viewers out there. This is GHB asking, I will be traveling from India to the US on a B1 visa, and my L1B petition is in process. Can I stay in the US after applying for the L1B and change of status while in the US?
If you've already filed for the L1 petition and if you're coming on a B1, they might stop you at the port of entry if they've
Mm-hmm.
noticed that you are entering into the US on a B1 while you have an L1 pending, because there's certain things that you cannot do on a B1. So if they see that you have the intent of doing those things, then they might just say, hey, for all these things that you want to do,
Mm-hmm.
you might have to come on an L1, maybe if the B1 is not appropriate. They do that sometimes. So I would be cautious about that, about entering on a B1 while your L1 is
Mm-hmm.
pending. But if you do successfully, if you're able to enter on a B1, then I would wait for a period of 60 or 90 days, before filing that L1B petition, just to be safe, that USCIS doesn't think that you had the intention all along of changing to an L1, and so then your entry was your entry was incorrect, the purpose that you stated. That I don't want them to say that it was incorrect.
Right.
So, and then there's questions about your admission into the US and stuff like that. So, in order to avoid that, I would wait for a period of time before applying for a change of status to an L1. If you've already filed an L1 petition, I would leave it as is, because then you'd have to again file a change of status
Mm-hmm.
petition. And that's like a new petition with a new fee, and you have to submit all the documentation all over again. And most probably, you'll have to withdraw your previous petition because
Yes.
it doesn't make sense to have two
Yes.
petitions
Yes.
pending. So, you know, it's up to you, but I would most probably leave it as is because it's just you already have
Mm-hmm.
filed it.
And since we're talking about it, so you mean L1B is more flexible than B1? I mean, as per.
L1 has different requirements for a B1. So, B1, you cannot work for a US company. You can only come and maybe market your product, sign
Mm-hmm.
contracts, meet with
Okay.
clients, those kind of
Mm-hmm.
things. On an L1, you can actually work for a US company.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Prashanthi and GHP. I hope that you have your question clearly answered. If you have more questions, we are here for some more time. But folks out there, I'd like to say that we'll quickly go for a short break. We are streaming live right now on YouTube, LinkedIn, um, Facebook, and Twitter. And we are here with Prashanthi Reddy from the Law Office of Prashanthi Reddy. And we are also streaming live on their YouTube channel. And before we go, I would really like to say that, we actually have a fantastic opportunity for remote work from home personnel. And if you're looking for a flexible work from home opportunity, this is just the thing you need to listen. So, work just 2 hours a day and earn a monthly pay of 5,000 Indian rupees plus 500 Indian rupees for every meeting you attend, and you have the opportunity to earn up to 20,000 Indian rupees per month. So the responsibilities include, managing social media posts, creating engaging content, responding to messages, monitoring analytics, and conducting research and data entry. And all you require is your own computer, a reliable internet connection, knowledge of LinkedIn, basic English writing skills, the ability to work independently, an Aadhaar card, the ability to use your real name on social media, and you can apply now. You just need to send your resume to this email address, that is SRAVANTHI with the S capital dot CHODAVARAPU at highrightypeople.com. So the details are on the screen. You can quickly apply for that. And also, I mean, if you have questions directly to none other than Attorney Prashanthi Reddy directly, what you can do is email her, contact her, write to her, and her details are also on the screen. You can call her on the number 212-354-1010. Email her at prashanthi at reddyesq.com. And yes, don't forget to go visit her website, that is reddyesq.com, where you will get more information about Prashanthi Reddy and the law offices of Prashanthi Reddy. Don't go anywhere. We'll just go for a short break. This is Nipasa Pradhan on Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. IT consultant seeking a new opportunity?
We offer job placement services for US citizens, green cards, EADs, and visa holders. We also sponsor various work visas like H1B, E3, TN, and green cards. 20 plus years of experience in the industry, exceptional employee benefits, highly rated by our employees, global presence with 200 plus recruiters and direct clients. Connect with us. Call us in the number 408 335 6444 or mail us at nipa@higheritpeople.com or visit our website www.higheritpeople.com.
Hello and welcome back, everyone, to Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. This is Nipasa Pradhan, and today we have none other than Attorney Prashanthi Reddy from the Law Office of Prashanthi Reddy, and we are speaking today about L-1A visa. So, if you are an entrepreneur, a manager, or maybe looking to start up your own business in the US, you're in the right place. And yes, thank you so much, Prashanthi, today for being with us. And here we are. How are you feeling so far?
Good, good. We're looking forward to answering more
Yes, me
questions.
too. So we have more questions from the audience. Thank you so much, Bhaskar Das. We are surely going to take up your question. Please stay with us. We have Lakshman, Heli. We are surely going to take your questions. So let's go on with the second one. The next question I have for you, and that is, what are some key legal and technical aspects that applicants should be aware of when applying for an L-1A visa?
So with in addition to what I just said about, what are the broad requirements for applying for an L-1A visa, there's some nitty-gritty details to keep in mind as well. And, I'm just going to mention a few, but in order to show that the person is actually working in a managerial and executive level, as I said, documentary evidence is needed. And that documentation is generally, it could be email correspondence between you and your employees or your the people that you're managing, your subordinates, to show that you're actually managing them. It could be that you have the ability to hire and fire employees as a manager, and so you might have emails showing that ability to hire and fire. Maybe you gave them a promotion and signed off on their promotion letter. Maybe you did an evaluation of their progress of their job and gave them an evaluation report. That is some of the documentation. Then you can show regular email correspondence showing that they are reaching out to you, getting permission to do certain things that requires your permission, etc., etc. Getting advice from you, and reporting on a day-to-day basis to you. So that's some of the information that you can show with reference to an L-1A manager level. For the executive, L-1A executive, so these are two different types of L-1A. L-1A is a multinational executive, or L-1A is a multinational manager. While a manager manages people and manages maybe a department or the operations, an executive is a higher position and is not involved in the day-to-day management of the company, but is involved in all the executive decisions. So like somebody like a vice president, or president, or director would most probably be an executive, while a manager, a HR manager, operations manager, IT manager would most probably be, come under managerial L-1A. So for an executive, you have to show that they're involved in decision making, that they're report to the board, that maybe they're part of the board meeting, and so you can submit minutes of the meeting to show that they have, participated in the board meetings and given their valuable advice or suggestions in the board meetings. You can show that they've prepared documents such as strategies, maybe a financial plan, maybe a marketing plan to show or signed off on it. Somebody else prepared and they signed off on it on, how to take the company forward in the next 5 years, for example. So they could be doing something like that. They could be maybe negotiating or speaking to the top clients because only the top level executives sometimes can negotiate and fix prices, etc. And sometimes only they make sense only for them to negotiate with other top executives, right, in the company. So you could show that they're doing that kind of work. You could show that they're formulating strategies for the company. So there's documentation, different kind of documentation needed for an executive and different for a manager. And also the job description has to be correct. You can't say that the person is working as a manager or an executive and put in interchangeable job descriptions. For a manager, put an executive job description. For an executive, put a manager job description, or a description that has maybe some executive and managerial roles for the same person, which in the real world it does happen that way, but USCIS doesn't like to see a combination of the manager and the executive job description. So I would focus only on one aspect of it, depending on what he does the most or she does the most. And also, I would definitely try to avoid putting administrative or clerical or other specialized kind of duties into the L-1A job description, because again it confuses the USCIS officer. So it could be that they're doing some administrative tasks as well, but they should be doing their executive or manager level duties at least more than 50% of the time, even if they're doing other tasks at other times. So this is also something to keep in mind. Then this is actually a very, very long answer because the question is like that. It's kind of open-ended. So I'm just going to touch upon a few things, and then we can, as maybe people ask questions, then we can hopefully cover the other
Sure,
things
sure.
as
But
well.
Prashanthi, like designations are very important for the L1A job description, right? Okay.
Correct.
Thank you. Sure. Let's move ahead then. Let's go on to the next question we have. Then we will go on to some more questions from the viewers out there. So, this next question I have is, how does the L1A visa facilitate the transfer or establishment of new offices in the US for executives and even managers?
So I think we touched upon that in our first question, where we talked about a new business L1A. And so this is kind of similar. So we can talk a little bit more about the new
Yes.
businesses. Um, so L1, so the USCIS has a separate category for new
Mhm.
businesses. They want to promote new businesses in the US. Um, so they want to promote opening up of new businesses. So the L1A kind of facilitates that. So you don't have to have an existing business. You can be coming as an entrepreneur. You might have a business in the US and you're coming to the
Mhm.
US to you might be having a business in India and you're coming to the US to open up a new business. And sometimes, obviously, you would need top level people to open it up, or the owner of the company themselves are coming to open up
Right.
the business. Because in the beginning, in order to set it up, there has to be a top level person coming in, scoping out the market, finding
Mhm.
clients, setting up bank accounts, finding office space, etc., doing all that stuff.
Major.
So that's why it's important that, yeah, so that's why it's important that, that L1A new business be available for them, that kind of category, to facilitate, new businesses and new jobs into the US market. That was I think, the whole idea of starting this L1A new
Right.
business. So, and as I said, there's a difference between the new L1A and the already established company L1A. In an established company L1A, it has to be you have to show that the company is already established. You have to show tax returns. You have to show bank accounts. You have to show money in the bank. You have to show that you already have clients and that you're running at a profit. It's a viable business. For the new business, you don't have to show any of that. You can just show a
Okay.
business plan. So I think that's some of the a little bit more about the new business
Okay,
L1A.
Prashanthi, if I may ask, like, is there any very new kind of business that you've come across that maybe that was never there before that maybe you came across? Very interesting, maybe that you'd like to share today with us.
I've done several very, very different businesses. It's not just
Mm-hmm.
IT. You also have, I did a paper mill where they, make
Wow.
paper and sell it to the US market. I've done L1As for production houses, like movie
Oh,
production, event management kind of thing, for people who deal with the stock market. So it's so many different kind of
very
businesses.
interesting.
Yeah, what you can, anything that you can think of, really, that people are so have such entrepreneurial
Mm-hmm.
spirit that they deal with so many different things, and that's why, as a consequence, I deal with all these different kinds of
Mm-hmm.
L1s.
I'm sure it's very encouraging for you to, to deal with such passionate people who are really, having their dreams come true by working hard and being there and making it all happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I really enjoy, working with businesses because I see the entrepreneurial spirit and I see their commitment to their business. They're talking about their business, thinking
Yeah.
about it, talking about it. It's like 24/7. So it's very inspiring to see them because I'm a business owner
Oh,
as well, all said and
yeah.
done. So it is, I take some tips from them.
Very nice, very nice. All right, so let's move on now. Let's take up this question from Bhaskar. It's pretty long, but I think we can take it. So, one step at a time, I guess. I have been working as a senior executive for a multinational company based in Europe with a bachelor's degree in business administration, 10 years of experience in the field, and a proven track record of success in leading cross functional teams and driving business growth. But my potential US employer is a smaller startup with fewer than 50 employees and no established international presence. How would I need to tailor my L1A visa application to demonstrate that my skills and experience align with the startup's needs and goals? And what specific documentation and evidence would I need to provide to overcome potential scrutiny from the USCIS regarding the company's size and lack of international presence?
So you don't qualify, Bhaskar. I don't think you've been listening carefully, or maybe I have not been expressing myself clearly. But based on what you're saying, unless again I misunderstood, if your company doesn't have international presence, then you don't qualify for the L1
Okay.
because the entire backbone of the L1 is that there is a company in, say, Europe or somewhere else, multinational. The keyword is
Right.
multinational, right? So there is a company abroad, and they're starting up a company in the US, or there already is an established company in
Mhm.
the US, and they're sending you, Bhaskar, from that company abroad to the company in the US to help expand the business or run the business. So that is the backbone, that is the criteria. So if your company in the US, which is 50 employees, that's not important that they have 50 or they have 70. What is more important is that you have not worked in the parent or the
Mhm.
qualifying foreign organization for a period of 1 year as a multinational executive, and you're not being transferred from that company to the US company. So I'm afraid you don't qualify based on your description. And if you do, then let me know how you qualify, and then we can talk about it more about the fact that there are only 50 employees, etc.
Okay, so Bhaskar, I hope things are pretty clear now. If you need more clarification, you can definitely contact Prashanthi Reddy directly. Her details are scrolling on the screen. Note them down. And also, well, if you have more questions, maybe if you still want to ask more questions, we're still here for a couple more minutes. So yes. All right, let's move on to another question now from the audience. Let's take up Robin. What is the essential duration of stay granted under an L-1A visa, and how can it be extended? What are the maximum allowable periods of stay for L-1A visa holders?
The initial duration is 1 year if you are a new company, meaning recently established company, a startup in the US, less than a year old. Then you get it for a year, and then you get an extension for 2 years. So the total number of time that you can spend on an L1 is 7 years. Before that, you should file for your green card.
Okay.
Uh, and under EB1, hopefully you will get your green card because EB1 is the best category to be in. It is not current, but it is at least not as backlogged as EB2 and EB3. So it won't take 20 years to get the green card. It'll still take a few years, but hopefully within the 7 years you will get it. So maximum period 7 years, initial period 1 year. If you're a new company, if you're already established, you get it for 2 years.
Okay. All the best.
And then
Yeah.
extensions going moving forward.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing for Robin. All the best, Robin. I hope you figure out. Yes. Let's move on to the next question. This is from Amarjeet. I am on an F1 visa expiring on July 15th and wasn't selected this year's H1B lottery. My company suggests I return to India, work remotely, and apply for an H1B or L1B visa next year. I've heard obtaining an L1B visa from India involves heavy scrutiny. Is it true? And are there other options I could consider?
So an L1B is not that easy to get, yes. Neither is an L1A. Because there's such great visas, everybody would be on an L1A or L1B. Why would you even go with a H1, right? Especially given that there's a no cap for
Mhm.
an L1 as opposed to a H1. So I mean, it's likely that inevitable rather that USCIS would make um, the scrutiny a little higher on the L1s as opposed to the Hs, and the criteria a little bit more difficult. So for obtaining an L1B, you have to show the same thing, that there's two companies, that you've worked in the other company, there's a qualifying relationship. But here you're showing specialized knowledge. And sometimes USCIS can give you a hard time as to what is specialized knowledge. And they can argue that, this knowledge is not specialized. You could have easily trained someone in a short period of time, and hired someone locally. So it is difficult in that sense, but not impossible, and certainly doable. So again, it depends on a case by case basis. An evaluation can be done on a case by case basis.
Right. Right. Thank you so much for taking that up for Amarjeet. And
Oh, so but I think he was asking if is an L1 be from
right,
India.
right. Heavy scrutiny. Yeah.
Mo- More scrutiny from India, yes, because a lot of these big companies, multinational companies, Tata's, TCS, Wipro, and a lot of other companies, Indian
Mhm.
giants, the IT consulting giants in India, file hundreds of L1Bs every
Okay.
year. And because they file blanket L1s, so they get an approval at one time, which is called a blanket L1, and you have to meet certain criteria
Mhm.
to do the blanket L1. You have to have a certain size, certain number of employees, certain number, 15 L1s previously approved, etc., etc. So once they meet that criteria, big companies usually do meet that criteria. Then they bring everyone on that blanket L1B. And so the only requirement is once you have the blanket approved, then you're sending every individual person to the consulate to preparing the application. So there's nothing to be prepared at USCIS. They send them directly to the consulate. And when the consulate sees so many hundreds of applications every year, sometimes they deny these visas, and the scrutiny does uh, become more when compared to other countries. European countries or Canada, etc. In India, yes, there's definitely more
Okay,
scrutiny.
and does he have any other options that he could consider?
Well, apply for the H1 next year, continue on F1. These are your two options if you're from India. Or try to file the L-1B or the L-1A if you qualify. But you first have to work for that company in order to
Right.
qualify in that position, in
Hmm.
that role.
Thank you so much. And Amarjeet, I hope that you got your questions answered. And here's Shivangani in LinkedIn. Congratulations to Prashanthi Reddy for making it to the Forbes Best Immigration Lawyers in NYC list. So, congratulations once again, Prashanthi.
Thank you, Nipasa. Thanks, Shivani.
Great. And well, earlier we took up this question from GBH, and he also says, thanks for your suggestion. Yes.
You're welcome.
Right. So yes, let's take up this one. Messy Me asking, my husband is here on L-1A. He just lost his job. Can he move to H-1B with another
Oh.
company? We have an approved I-140. What are our options?
You can move to a H1, but you might be cap subject. Your husband might be cap subject because if he's never been on a H1 before, so then he would have to do a registration next year, and then if he gets picked, then he can move. But looks like if he's already lost his job, he might be out of luck. If he is already been on a H1 before, then he might be cap exempt, and in which case, then you can definitely file for a transfer. But you need to do that uh, before he leaves the company. Otherwise, he will be out of status, and then he won't be able to file for a change of status.
Okay. Thank you so much. And Messy Me, if you have more questions or if you want to contact Attorney Prashanthi Reddy directly, her details are scrolling on the screen. Please note them down and contact her. Let's move on to the next, which is from Heli, asking what are the long term implications of relying on the L-1A visa as a primary mechanism for global business expansion, particularly in light of geopolitical shifts and evolving economic landscapes?
So just a quick comment before I come to the answer this question with reference to the previous questions. I was just checking if the 60 days grace period applies to L, and it does. So again, if you are exempt from CAP, then you have 60 days grace to file a change of status either to a H, or I don't know if they want to change to student
Mhm.
status, or to a visitor's visa, or just to give you some more time to find a job. Those are maybe some of your options but the H might be difficult unless you're able to stay until next year, which is a long time, right?
Right.
Until the registration opens up. So yeah, good luck with that.
Okay.
We can go to the next
Yes.
question.
So, what are the long this one? Oh, yeah. What are the long-term implications of relying on the L-1A visa as a primary mechanism of global business expansion, and particularly in light of the geopolitical shifts and evolving economic landscapes?
Very heavy
Right.
question. Forcing me to think. Uh, so L1A is one of the best mechanisms for businesses to move from to the US from any other country if you qualify. Um, it is a great way of expanding your business, already existing business, from your home country to the US. Um, and it's really the fastest way of doing it, because you do have investor visa, which is EB5, which is taking so long nowadays that it's almost its usefulness is limited, because just for processing EB5, they're taking 4 years, and in the meantime, you'll have to move all your money to the US, keep it, and it's not doing anything here, or if it's doing something, then it's being managed by someone else, because you can't come to the US for until your at least your temporary green card is approved. So because of the processing time for the EB-5, it's become less effective. And also there are certain restrictions. You have to um, invest a certain amount of money, which you may not want to do if it's a business that doesn't require that kind of investment. You don't want to invest that kind of money. In an L1, there is no minimum or maximum investment. An L1 is for all countries. You have other E3, you have the E2, sorry, which is the treaty trader, treaty investor visas, but that is applicable only for some countries. And it's the same thing. You can invest if you're sure, if you show that you're opening a business in the US, and it's kind of similar to the L1, but again, different. So the disadvantage of that is that not all countries can apply to it. There are only certain countries that qualify for that. But the L1 is open for everyone. So I think the L1 really has a huge impact in bringing new businesses into
True.
the US, whether globally or not, but bringing new businesses into the US and globally, because bringing new businesses from the rest of the world into the US and vice
Mhm.
versa, then the business flows, money flows to the home country as
Right.
well. So I think, yeah, L1A is the most uh, impactful visa that we have for, expanding global
Right.
business.
Right. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, Heli, for this very interesting question. You got Prashanthi thinking, but we have good answers too from her. So thank you, Prashanthi, as well for taking that up. All right. So this is Ria asking, I have a question about L1B visa renewal. After completing 3 years, do I need to travel to my home country for renewal? Or does USCIS handle the decision with travel only required for stamping?
Yeah, you can do it either way. You could either leave the country and come back, um, or you can, if you're on L1B, you can file for an extension in the US by filing an I-129 application. Here you're asking for an extension of your status, in which case then USCIS will scrutinize all the information again to see whether you qualify or not,
Mhm.
etc. And then decide whether they should give you the extension or not. Sometimes it's easier, especially if you're on L1B blanket, to just leave and come back. I don't know, it's kind of difficult to say because sometimes the consulate also has a lot of scrutiny. So yeah, you could do it either
And
way.
is it mandatory to have the L1 visa
You,
stamp renewed in the passport, or can I stay without an updated stamp?
that's you don't need the stamp to stay. You only need the stamp to travel. If you leave the country and want to come back, then you have to get a stamp. So I guess you have to decide between the pot and the fire as to which one is better, USCIS or the consulate.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, Prashanthi, for taking that up for Ria. Oh, we have another follow up. Okay. With a B1 visa valid for another 3 months, and after the I-129 is approved for L1B, this is from GHB, whose questions we took earlier, by the way, Prashanthi. So he's asking, will I need to go through a visa interview, or do I qualify for an interview waiver?
Uh, so interview waiver, if you're previously gone for an interview on a B1, but you never went for an interview on an L1, you most probably won't qualify for a
Mhm.
waiver. Um, Again, you might qualify for a waiver. It's again discretionary as to um, whether they will do a waiver or not. Usually, if you've been on a B1 before and then you're applying for a different visa, they don't waive it. Or if you're applying for a B1 visa and you've previously been on a different visa, then they may not waive it. But the waiver is for sure if you're filed previously on an L1 and then you're filing for an extension and then you're going for a visa again, then you definitely qualify for the visa waiver. In this situation, it is really discretionary.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much for taking that up for GHB. Thank you so much, GHB, as well, for staying with us. I mean, we've been answering your questions. So happy to see that you're so participative. So thank you so much once again. And yeah, we have another question, and I think this would be one of our last, or the last probably. This is from Pranav on YouTube asking, my employer is sponsoring me and L1B. Is there a possibility in future if I get switched to L1A, will I be eligible for EB1C under functional manager?
Yeah, you might be because if you're working as a manager right now, and you could, even though it's under specialized knowledge, you could qualify for an L1A under that manager position. Yes, functional manager if you're managing a particular department and you're not managing any employees. But if you're managing employees as well, then you might qualify as a regular L1A manager as well.
Okay, okay. So, Pranav, there's nothing to be worried about, I think. So, thank you so much, Pranav, also for your question. And thank you, Prashanthi, as well, for taking up all the questions. And we still have more, I think. But friends out there, we will take them up maybe, and you can directly ask attorney Prashanthi Reddy as well. You can contact her directly. It's even more exciting, I think, to speak with her directly. So why not call her on her number? Her number is 212-354-1010. Once again, I repeat, 212-354-1010. And her email address is prashanthi at reddyesq.com. And her website is reddyesq.com. That's where you can get more details about her and, of course, the law office of Prashanthi Reddy. Thank you so much, Prashanthi, for doing this today. We had a good time well having you, and of course discussing such an important and interesting topic. Thank you so much for doing this.
You're welcome, Nipasa. Good to be here as always, and looking forward to coming up with more interesting topics for next
For
time.
sure, for sure. And in fact, we still have more questions, I mean, from our end, the team's end, and even viewers here. So I'm just thinking we might as well have another episode of L1A visa. So, friends, just stay with us. We will keep you updated on what we have next with none other than Attorney Prashanthi Reddy. So, Prashanthi, once again, thank you. You have a great day ahead.
Thank you.
And friends out there, thank you so much, for being so participative, for all your lovely questions, very interesting ones, which has even made Attorney Prashanthi, go back to thoughts and, yeah, give you the correct answers. So thank you. I hope this was a very, very insightful episode, a webinar for you. And if you have more questions, even if you're watching this after the stream has ended, we will be more than happy to have our experts give you answers. So, yes, another thing before we wind up, I just wanted to talk about the fantastic opportunity, for remote work from home. So, if you're looking for a flexible work from home, job opportunity, this is what you really need to listen. So, you just need to work for 2 hours. That's right, 2 hours a day only, and earn a monthly pay of 5,000 Indian rupees. And if you attend more meetings, each meeting you earn 500 Indian rupees. So you have the opportunity to earn up to 20,000 Indian rupees per month. And the responsibilities include managing social media posts, creating engaging content, responding to messages, monitoring analytics, and conducting research and data entry. So all you require is your own computer, a reliable internet connection, knowledge of LinkedIn, basic English writing skills, and yes, the ability to work independently, Aadhaar card as well, and the ability to use your real name on social media. And if you think that this is just the job for you, I mean, this could be for anyone and everyone. I mean, you could be a mom and you don't have the time to go to the office and work, and maybe you have your own business but you still want some more, maybe have some extra time. So why not? This job is just for 2 hours. Just send your resume to this email address, that is sravanthi.chodavarapu at higheritpeople.com. Just let me spell that out for you. Capital S Ravanthi dot CHODAVARAPU at higheritpeople.com. Yes, thank you so much. And if you want more details, if probably you couldn't catch up with that, you can ask me as well. And if you're looking for project placement, TN, green cards, anything related to immigration and jobs, feel free to contact me. My phone number is displayed on the screen. That is 408-335-6444. You can even email me at nipa@higheritpeople.com. And to know more about higheritpeople.com, visit us at www.higheritpeople.com. Thank you so much once again for joining us. But I'm happy to tell you that I will join again after an hour because we have another very interesting webinar. So if you haven't as yet clicked that subscribe button, hit it because you want to be notified about these very great discussions, right? So this is Nipasa Pradhan signing off for now from Immigration and Jobs Talk Show.
Consultant seeking a new opportunity? We offer job placement services for US citizens, green cards, EADs, and visa holders. We also sponsor various work visas like H-1B, E3, TN, and green cards. 20 plus years of experience in the industry. Exceptional employee benefits. Highly rated by our employees. Global presence with 200 plus recruiters and direct clients. Connect with us. Call us in the number 408-335-6444 or mail us at nipa@higheritpeople.com or visit our website www.higheritpeople.com.